So really out of left field today, some news came down. I first saw it on Twitter. It's where most of the first breaking news happens as far as, recruiting news and college football news in general. But news came out earlier this morning about a quarterback possibly transferring to UGA. That quarterback is former USC freshman JT Daniels. So JT Daniels was a freshman, came in and started 11 games for USC last year. He had a decent season, wasn't great, wasn't terrible. He played in 11 games. He missed, I believe, their last 3 games. He had a torn ACL. But, he threw for like 2,700 yards in 11 games, which is pretty good. A 14-game season, he's, right there, 3,300 yards as a, freshman. That's pretty dang good. Touchdown to interception ratio wasn't great, 14 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. But again, he's a freshman. So, kind of shocking, really. All signs are pointing that JT Daniels is coming to UGA, and it will be announced very soon. They're thinking today or tomorrow that news is going to break, that he is officially going to announce that he is transferring to Athens, which, it's interesting. Does he, get immediate eligibility and battle Newman and Beck and Mathis for the starting spot? Let's not kid ourselves. Jamie Newman is the starter. But this does make it a little more interesting. If anything, this definitely hurts Mathis and Beck. Because, again, this kid already has 11 games experience playing in a Power 5 conference. He threw for 2,700 yards. He would, I think pretty easily come in and be the backup. That's this year, So what does that mean for next year? So if he comes in and he's the backup and he gets some playing time and learns UGA's system and, meshes with the receivers and Todd Monken and, what does that mean for, the 2021 season? Who's going to have more experience than him? He's going to have more experience than Beck. He's going to have more experience than Mathis. He's obviously going to have more experience than Vandegrift. He's going to have a leg up on all of those guys. So, what does it mean? I don't know. We don't know. It's not official. We have to wait until this is official to really get crazy and figure out what in the world is going to happen. But if it does happen, I could 100% see both Beck and Mathis leaving, unfortunately. I like both of them. Very talented quarterback room right now that unfortunately not everybody can play. We can't have, 4 quarterbacks on the field. It just doesn't work like that. So really going to be interesting to see what happens. But JT Daniels, the numbers that kid put up in high school were absolute video game numbers, unlike anything you've probably ever heard of. He threw for over 12,000 yards. He threw for over 150 touchdowns, and he had 14 interceptions. The kid was averaging over 4,000 passing yards and 50 touchdowns a season and less than 4 interceptions. So 4,000 yards, 50 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Absolute video game numbers. The kid has talent. Again, it's going to be really interesting to see what happens to the quarterback room if JT Daniels does decide to transfer to UGA. I don't think it affects Brock Vandegrift as much, or if any at all, because likely JT Daniels has already burned his freshman year. If he comes in and he's the backup, we're not going to redshirt him. So he's going to be a sophomore next year, or this upcoming season. So then he would be a junior the 2021 season, which is when Brock would come in. If at that point JT Daniels is the starter and he has a great year, he's gone to the NFL, and we can either redshirt Brock or Brock will be the backup. And then Brock's got 2 or 3 years after that. So I don't think that this really affects Brock Vandegrift as much as it affects Carson Beck and Dwan Mathis. And again, if JT Daniels does come to UGA, at least one of those guys is transferring, either Carson Beck or Dwan Mathis, if not both. And what happens to Stetson Bennett at this point? I mean, you're talking he's going to be 4th, 5th, 6th string quarterback. I mean, it's really interesting to see what's going to happen here, but we'll see what happens in the next day or two and see if this actually becomes official. But other big news this week, Georgia has landed 2 more commitments, one for the 2021 class, one for the 2022 class. So for 2021, Chaz Chambliss, he committed to Georgia. He's an outside linebacker, pretty big dude. He's like 6'2", 240, 245. If you haven't seen the kid's highlights, he is an absolute thumper. He looks to take people's heads off every time he hits them. He is a very hard hitter. It'll be interesting to see what he brings to the table at UGA. There has been terrible comparisons just based on the fact that he's a white linebacker, saying that he's going to be Nate McBride, and yeah, he was great in high school, but he's going to get to UGA and do absolutely nothing. Completely different player than Nate McBride. Different position. I mean, Nate McBride plays inside linebacker, and Chambliss is an outside linebacker, so I mean, it's completely different. They're 2 different players, 2 different playing styles, so it's not fair to compare one another and automatically just say that Chambliss is going to be a special teams guy and he's never going to see the field at UGA. Let's reserve judgment on that until he actually puts on the uniform and steps on the field. And then in the 2022 class, yesterday it was announced Marquise Groves-Killebrew, cornerback for the 2022 class. No real rating right now. It's too early for that. Some early ratings that have come out have him, I believe, is like the number 4 cornerback in the class, which is very good. But there's also rumblings that he may be the top cornerback in the 2022 class and will be a 5-star. So we'll have to wait, a few months before those rankings start to come out. But he is our first commit of the 2022 class, and he seems pretty solid. I mean, he seems pretty locked into that commitment, and he said that he feels like he's needed at UGA, and UGA made him feel like he was a priority, that we had to have him. So I think he's going to be a lock, even though he does play for Grayson, which we know how that goes, but I think it's going to be different. I think we do get this kid. I think he's going to be a stud. So big news surrounding UGA right now with the commitments and of course the news about JT Daniels. So we'll see what happens in the next day or two. Just wanted to get on here and make a quick video. You guys stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll talk to you soon. Take care.